All right, here we go. It is Monday, August 11th, and welcome back to the Damon Bruce Show here on Damon Bruce Plus. And oh, what do you know? As always, we're brought to you by our good friend Ike of Ike Sandwiches. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what you're doing for lunch today. I don't know what you've got plans for lunch this week, but hopefully you're around an Ike's. And if you are, do lunch at Ike's. Do more than lunch at Ike's. Pick up an extra sandwich. Bring it home for dinner. You're going to be glad you did that too. Unbelievable stuff from my guy. And let me just show you right here, right now. I keep on telling you, you're going to sign up for that Love Rewards program. It is National Sandwich Month. That means an awful lot over at Ike's. And guess what? Right now, he's already got that free combo just waiting for you. If you're a rewards member, it's sitting right there for you. Do you want free chips and drinks? Again, it's there for you if you're already a rewards member. Another reason to sign up for Ike's. Boy, I hope you are around one. I truly, truly do. Let me tell you about my good friends at the Dubliner West Portal. Where were you to drink your cares away after the 49ers did not look good against the Denver Broncos? Or possibly after the San Francisco Giants did not look good against the Washington Nationals? Bay Area sports fans needed a couple beers this weekend, and hopefully you got yours at the Dubliner West Portal. Love those guys. Say hi to Kenny and John when you go in there, and make sure you tell them that the Plus sent you. Oh, it is great to have you here. We got a fun show for you today. We've got a guest coming up in just a little bit, Chase Sr. of Chat Sports, who covers the 49ers. He's also got another huge YouTube channel that is dedicated to covering the Eagles. He's going to be stopping on by as everybody is trying to now pick what they want to say was important from that first preseason game and choose to ignore the other things they insist weren't important because it was a preseason game. Everybody's got a lot of different opinions as to what matters, what didn't matter. I'll start telling you when it matters. And in a weird way, everybody's a little right and everybody's a little wrong. Picking and choosing moments of the game to be upset by, but, then ignoring the parameters under which the entire game was played. It's a little bit of a fool's errand. I already did a great show recapping this with Larry Krueger. We did a wake up. I really got aware and became aware of Chase Sr. through Larry's YouTube channel. Chase runs an incredible YouTube channel about the 49ers. And if I'm putting on headphones, that means my man is right here and ready to go. How are you, Chase? I really appreciate your time today, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Damon. I've been watching your YouTube channel for a long time. You and Larry, both Bay Area sports radio legends. Growing up as a kid, I was very infatuated with the whole radio industry. And so to see you guys have that radio career and now parlay it into YouTube success, I think it's been awesome because like any good business does, you have to adapt and evolve. You guys have been able to do that, and I appreciate the kind words as well for my YouTube channel.
Oh, thanks, brother. I mean it. I have learned an awful lot about how to go about doing it by just watching what you do, and your success is it's profound. You're over 150,000 subscribers, I think, now for two NFL teams. Ironically, it's the 49ers and Eagles. You got these two teams have been like this for the past few years, and you're all over both of them. It's always good to watch you, man. It's always good to see you, and thanks for joining me. I think it's the first time we've officially had you on here, and that means it's been far too long that we waited to extend the invitation. So it's great to have you here. And let's just hop right into the fact that, yes, preseason game. Yes, many of the starters and every single important 49er basically didn't even bother participating in that game. But there are still some truths to football. One of them is you never want to go 1 for 13 on third down. Another one is you never want to turn the ball over 4 times. Another one is you never want to give up 30 unanswered points. So there's an awful lot to not like from a game that we can all agree the results really don't matter, but there was a lot in that game that I did not like to see and creates concerns about depth. And we're starting right at offensive tackle and backup tackle, because I think the blinking neon light coming out of that first game is if Trent Williams or McKivitz misses a chunk of time, that would be the fastest way to pull on the thread that undoes the entire season sweater.
I agree with you. And of course, when you're talking about a preseason game, there are some storylines that you want to monitor. There are some things that you're looking out for. You want to see young players making plays. You want to see training camp performances translate to actual game action. You want to see some strides from some of your developmental pieces. You want to see former draft picks who haven't necessarily done much, like a Kalia Davis and Robert Beal, finally give you some juice and show you something. And to start this game, I was actually pretty impressed with how the Niners backups were able to march right down the field against a Broncos defense that was one of the top units in the NFL last year and score an opening drive touchdown. Specifically, you saw Mac Jones throw that beautiful 50-yard pass to Jordan Watkins. That showed me QB2, much better spot than it was last year, because I would take Mac over the likes of Joshua Dobbs and Brandon Allen, who should have never started a game for the 49ers last year. Jordan Watkins, 4.3 speed. He's been making plays in the spring and in the summer. And he also has really good ball tracking ability, which is very important for a speedster like that. He's not just a one-trick pony. It's like a center fielder who runs a great 60-yard dash. Can you track the ball in center field? If you can, great. You'll have a spot out there every day if you can also hit. If you can't track the ball, there's not going to be time for you. And so for a deep ball threat to do that, I thought that was great. And we saw some moments from some of these other young players, especially some UDFAs like Sebastian Valdez and Corey Kiner. I thought that CJ West and Alfred Collins were disruptive in either pushing the pocket or disrupting plays. So those are all positives, right? And I liked some of the exotic creative looks that we saw from Robert Saleh. How about how he used Chase Lucas to generate some pressures, which then resulted in that Bo Nix safety? All of these things were great. But then you also have to look at some of the negatives, right? Depth is going to be a concern for this football team. And John Lynch even said it. We're younger, and there could be some bumps along the road. And this is something that we thought could come to fruition when the Niners entered training camp with 18 or 19 rookies, draft class in UDFA. The depth is going to be tested. But something that really bothers me is something, Damon, that the Niners continue to ignore, and that is just the overall value of offensive line. And that's both starters and it's offensive line depth. Like, I just don't think that going into this year, you are good enough at left guard, you're not good enough at center, and you're okay at right tackle. But being okay is not good enough for me, because I do believe that a lot of games are won and lost in the trenches. And Kyle Shanahan has this philosophy as a former receiver. John Lynch kind of echoes that as a former safety, that they can scheme around offensive line problems. I don't think that you can scheme around offensive line problems. Maybe against some average to okay teams and bad teams in the NFL. But we have seen, Damon, in the biggest of games the last few years, when you go up against vaunted defenses, those defensive lines have been able to kick the Niners' asses for the most part along the offensive line. And you're right. If Colton McKivitz or Trent Williams were to get hurt, who are your backup offensive tackles? Spencer Burford has been a guard up until this point. I don't think he's quick enough to play left tackle and block the blind side of Brock Purdy, and Austin Pleasant's at right tackle behind Colton McKivitz, who's already like an average offensive tackle. That's really what stood out to me, is the lack of emphasis along the offensive line and offensive line depth to end my rant.
Drew Dolman was, to me, the one that got away.
Yes.
That was the free agent they needed to spend an awful lot of money on, kick over heaven and earth to make that happen. You're going to invest so much in Brock. And how about this? Whether you spend a lot of money on your quarterback or don't, protecting him is job one. And I just thought that would have been the single best way to improve a middle of the offensive line problem, even though you and I are talking about tackles right here. Every single lesson of last year's postseason was trench warfare is how you win wars. And it felt like we all knew what the Niners needed to do in the draft, with the exception of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Like, they just they didn't see the right value at the pick that they had, and the guy that they might have wanted was gone. They kept on kicking the can so far down the road. To me, that's the fatal flaw that is built into a team that I still think is very good, very well coached, very well executed on offense. Robert Saleh being back in the room is, I think, among the small handfuls of really impactful offseason movement that we're going to see. I mean, Saleh is very important to this team, but I don't know if he's as important as an offensive line, and we will see how this all shakes out. Meanwhile, and I know it's not Shanahan calling plays. He had Kubiak do it. But at the same time, the fewest points scored in the NFC. They only got 9. You had Chase Lucas giving them 2 of them, right? So, I was joking around during a live stream saying I would have rather seen 3 Jake Moody field goals, because I would at least felt good about that, instead of just being held to 1 touchdown on an opening drive and then watching an offense basically get worse, disintegrate as a game goes along. I don't think I need to see more of Carter or Mordecai as at all. Like, those aren't even camp arms. Those guys look like civilians out there.
Yeah, the QB2 situation is a lot better than it's been in years past because I do think that Mac Jones is a really good scheme fit. And finally, he is with a coach who I think can really help to maximize him in Kyle Shanahan. I don't think his offensive situations have been great with the New England Patriots when, by the way, he was a Pro Bowler as a rookie, or with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But in Shanahan's offense, he loves a quarterback who can play point guard, who can get the ball out on time, in rhythm, accurately to his playmakers. And accuracy is very important because Shanahan's going to do his job with the play designs to put players in a position to succeed in picking up yards after the catch if the quarterback can deliver the ball accurately. These are things that Brock Purdy does really, really well. And Mac Jones does that really well. We've seen it so far in training camp, and we saw what he's capable of in the preseason with that long ball. That's a quick decision. That's an accurate throw. Give your playmaker a chance on a 50-50 ball, and Jordan Watkins made that play. Now, the interception was on Watkins because he ran a sloppy route. There are over 100 routes in the Shanahan playbook, and so that's why sometimes it's very hard for wide receivers to grasp this offensive system. So you saw some great with Watkins. You saw some bad. That interception really wasn't on Mac Jones. So it's great that Brock Purdy's backup, it's in a much better spot than it has been. But yeah, you're totally right. I mean, Carter Bradley, Tanner Mordecai, they were a really, really rough watch. And Carter Bradley has arm strength, but he throws with absolutely no touch. He telegraphed all of his passes. He should have had more interceptions, frankly, I thought. Yeah. And I know that he was so good in that workout that the Niners had to sign him. But with how bad he looked, how bad Mordecai looked, where he was trying to run around like Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M and then just threw it right to the DB, like just an awful brain rot type of play. And it wouldn't surprise me with the Niners looking for a QB3 if when it comes down to 53-man roster cutdown day, they're kind of scanning and canvassing that waiver wire to see if there's another quarterback who they could bring in to be that QB3. We've seen Shanahan maximize the likes of Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, now Mac Jones, Sam Darnold as well. But I don't think there's any maximizing to do with a Mordecai or a Bradley. I just don't think they're NFL players.
I was joking around saying that the single best quarterbacking afternoon coming out of that game was Curtis Rourke's.
Because yeah, he's a big winner.
Yeah, he just sat there and watched thinking like, oh, they're going to have a spot for me the minute I'm healthy and ready to go. These two guys.
He's just going to have a red shirt year, though, I think.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. But he knows that there's going to be a spot coming up for him. There's no doubt about that. I guess we'll go over the concerns, and then we will get to some bright spots because there were some bright spots to talk about. I think Nick Martin, by the way, is being incorrectly crushed as, sort of a beige spot. I don't mind mistakes of aggression. I don't mind someone who's trying to play so hard. Maybe they run past the play. You got to obviously, get that all under control eventually. But for a rookie playing a little over his skis, physical mistakes don't bother me as much as mental mistakes. I saw more physical than mental mistakes. He was around the play. I'll say this: Nick Martin might have missed some tackles, but he was there. His hat, his helmet was in the frame. I think he's going to be good, but it's going to take some time. That guy, you got to polish that ruby a little bit.
And I think that with him, obviously he over pursued. He was overly aggressive. He missed a few tackles. But again, like, this is a preseason game. So you're looking for the possibilities. You're looking for the potential. And with good coaching, with development, as the game slows down, as he becomes a more experienced player after he didn't play all that much last year because of a knee injury, what can you build off of? I will take the foundation of a player who has diagnosing skills, who has a good feel, who can read and react, who can be in the right place at the right time. That's what Nick Martin was doing. I'll take a foundation of playing with unbelievable play speed, a lot of physicality, and a lot of tenaciousness, where if the game does slow down, if he harnesses some of that aggression, you see what he's capable of doing. There was a play where he ran down the Broncos running back who they used a high draft pick on, who runs 4.4, and Nick Martin was able to get through some muddied up traffic and run him toward the boundary. That's a positive sign. He at least was in a position to make plays. Did he dot the exclamation point? Did he finish those plays? No, but you can work off of that foundation. And so Nick Martin was a loser for me in that preseason game because the plays were there and he couldn't capitalize. There was money on the table and he wasn't able to cash in, right? But you see what the Niners saw in him, which is why they used a 3rd-round pick, that this guy has that Azeez Al-Shire, Dre Greenlaw, Deamador Lenore type of mentality in between the ears that Fred Warner also has, but he just has to harness that aggression a little bit. And honestly, he reminded me a little bit, Damon, of D. Winters early on. Like D. Winters had that type of mental makeup, but he over pursued plays and he would fail to throttle down. But last year, you started to see the game slow down a little bit. Then he started to make those plays that previously he was missing.
I saw, I think it was reported earlier that, both West and Collins had 0 pressures. I think that got upgraded to 1 pressure. Okay. I do know that West absolutely opened the door for that Kalea Davis sack in that. He was pushing the pocket, and I'm not worried about CJ West at all. I am putting a little bit of a red flag, though, on Alfred Collins. He seems, as big as he is, he exposes his chest. And I just think, hey, here's the thing. If he is getting double teamed, he's doing his job.
Yes.
But I don't know how many tackles or how many sacks this guy is going to have. I hope he's more than Javon Kinlaw 2.0. I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah. So I think a good analogy here, I know you're a baseball guy, but when it comes down to pitchers, right? Like wins and losses don't always tell the full story. Like a pitcher could have an ERA in the low 3s, the high 2s. He could be 1-15, right? But you look at the ERA, you look at the whip, you look at some of the advanced numbers to truly gauge how impactful he is as a pitcher. For defensive linemen, everybody looks at sacks and pressures and quarterback hits as the sexy numbers. But I thought Saturday's game was a great illustration of looking beyond the box score. Did you feel and sense Alfred Collins and CJ West in that game? Throughout moments, you did. And you did because of stats that didn't show up in the box score. But when you watch that game, were they disruptive? Did they collapse the pocket? Did they generate pressure on the quarterback without having that direct quarterback pressure? Did they impact the game? Did you feel them out there? I thought at times against the run, they forced the running back to go in a different direction. Against the pass, they moved the quarterback off the spot, whether the quarterback had to move to his right, to his left, or have to step up in the pocket, which then led to a quarterback hit, or in the Kalea Davis area, that sack, right? So I thought that Alfred Collins and CJ West at moments, they were impactful beyond just looking at the traditional stats because they absorbed double teams. They forced a running back to go in a different direction. They blew plays up. They caused some destruction with them being out there. With Alfred Collins, keep in mind, he missed all of the spring and he's been a little bit slow to start training camp. But he's 6'5", 330, and you're right. Like, if he's taking on double teams to allow other players to make plays, I don't think his numbers as a rookie are going to be gaudy, but is his impact going to be felt? I think so. Now, when you're 6'5", 330, yeah, sometimes you're upright, and you can't get good leverage. That's why the coaching staff has said, when you get stopped, don't stop. We need you to keep going. With a player like CJ West, he's 6'1", that allows him to get really good leverage with those violent hands to disengage offensive linemen off of him. So 2 different players who look different with the way that they play, with their playing styles. But I think either way, whether they're recording numbers or not, they do have the ability as rookies to impact the game just by being disruptive with their own playing styles.
Everybody likes to make a bet on their undrafted free agent who might crack the roster. Isaiah Nayer was popular early on.
Yeah.
And I told everyone, I'm like, he's built like Randy Moss, but he was undrafted and at 6'5" and can fly. Something's not quite right there. Sure enough, he's already in Green Bay. We'll see if he even makes their roster. And I also said, this Sebastian Valdez guy, there's just something there. Again, I just watched him hit sleds. I watched him in practice early on down in Santa Clara, and I kept on tapping Kruger on the shoulder. I'm like, this guy's going to be on the team, dude. I think this guy's going to be on the, slow down, Dame. I think this guy's going to be on the team. I think that guy's going to be on the team.
Yeah, I think so too. And for Isaiah Nayer, 6'4", 220, runs 4.4 flat, but he had 2 college seasons of 10-plus catches at Wyoming, Texas, and Nebraska. And when you're that physically gifted, I think that you should be able to dominate a little bit better. My scouting notes on him going into the draft was, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And I think that's the issue with the guy like that. He can't maximize the athletic ability. He's too inconsistent. And I think he's a good developmental piece. I don't think the Niners should have cut him as early as they did. I would have wanted to see what he could do in some preseason games. They felt something else. With Sebastian Valdez, though, you see NFL qualities. It's violence at the snap. It's a quick get off. I thought it was very impressive how in that game, there were times where he slithered through a couple of offensive linemen to make a play, or again, disrupt a play, which then helped to other players being able to make plays. And you see some of the NFL attributes there. He's really built. There's a reason why Dominic Pooney and other guys are calling him the Hulk, because he plays and looks like that, but he also has some violence to him. He has some explosion for his size. He was good against the pass. He was good against the run. And I think all of that combined with the fact that the Niners are a little bit thin at defensive tackle, he has a great chance to make the team. And for Kyle Shanahan to say he probably flashed the most out of anybody, I thought that was really notable after the game. But look out for Sebastian Valdez to make this team and potentially be a rotation guy. In June, I did a video. Niners may have found a hidden gem on the 49ers report. I talked about Sebastian Valdez, and what I talked about there was what we saw on Saturday night. It was very promising.
What is the cherry that you're putting on top of a pretty disappointing Saturday? A player, a moment, the standout? What's the one thing that you take away from our first preseason look at the 49ers and think that this actually translates into something we see in the regular season?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things, right? I think the Niners are going to have one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, and Brant Boyer. I think top to bottom, that's a really good collection of coaches that can help you in all 3 phases of the game. And also remember, the Niners went up 9-0 because of what they did offensively and defensively with their 2s against the Broncos 1s. Things started to fall apart once they put their third stringers in there. How often, though, in the regular season are we going to see a lot of these third stringers? And so I do have depth concerns once you really start to tap into the depth spots at a couple of different positions, right? But if you put the starters on the field with the play that we saw from some of the backups against the Broncos starters, you're like, okay, we could see something here. And so I like to see that. I enjoyed seeing some of the flashes that we saw from these youth pieces, because let's be real, this is a youth-laden team, and they're going to need these young players to have roles here in 2025. And we saw with some of those performances on Saturday night, okay, there could be some rough patches. There could be some moments where they fail to make some plays, but you see what they're capable of doing. You're seeing what they could become. And with quality coaching, that helps put these players in a position to succeed. It helps to streamline their development. It helps them feel confident. And on defense, specifically with Saleh, we saw a huge jump from last year with Nick Sorensen. I thought last year the defense was indecisive. They weren't confident. They were thinking too much, which then led to a lot of hesitation. With Saleh, though, early in that game, they were firing on all cylinders. They weren't thinking. They were just going out there and they were playing fast. And I think that's a really positive development coming out of that game on Saturday.
What do you think of just the way the 49ers have been attacking preseason under Shanahan, where, less is certainly more from any starter or important players? This is the same league that sees each team sort of approach preseason differently. The guy who needs the least amount of preseason snaps probably in the world of football is Patrick Mahomes. But sure enough, he was out there, Yeah. Brock Purdy was not. I'm not saying that Brock needs the most amount of preseason snaps, but these are 2 different philosophies. What do you think of the way the 49ers cut the baby on preseason?
Well, I think they were happy with how the joint practice went on Thursday, how the offense started slow, then finished strong with what the defense was able to do. The red zone execution early wasn't good. Then they executed late. A lot of teams nowadays will use those joint practices as kind of like a de facto preseason game. But Kyle Shanahan's MO, the last few years at least, has been to play starters at some point during the preseason. And so 2 preseason games left, right? I think that the Niners at some point, whether it be against the Raiders, whether it be against the Chargers, they're going to play their starters at least a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half. Shanahan has shown a history of doing that. If he doesn't do that, I'm raising a red flag, because with so many new parts, with so many young players, with changes to your coaching staff, nothing will simulate live bullets flying, being and playing in an actual game. The Niners need to get some actual game reps in, especially offensively. You have a new left guard. Your wide receiver core has been remade. You need to figure out what you can get from these backup backs. I thought last year the offense really lacked like synergy. And because of that, that's why they didn't have long sustained drives. They were so Jekyll and Hyde and inconsistent because there were so many moving parts with all the injuries. So I hope that in the last 2 preseason games, we see the starters for an extended period at least once. If that doesn't happen, then yeah, I'm going to be fired up because this team has a lot to work on. And this week 1 opponent in Seattle, it's not going to be easy, especially with Shanahan going up against a defensive mind and Mike McDonald, who he struggled with and against here in his career.
I'm telling you, man, if this team can get off to a good start against this schedule, oh my God, does the year get so much easier?
No doubt about it.
It really does. I mean, 4-0 against this schedule is worth 6-0 in a normal year. It really is. So let's hope that they can get off to a good start. I hand you the menu and say, sir, you get to order anything you like. You get to see one of them in the preseason game against the Raiders next Saturday. What are you ordering? Where are your eyes going to be on Saturday? What do you hope to see? An individual, a series? You get to dial it up. What do you want in this Raiders game?
Well, we'll see if Michael Williams practices this week. He might be out a week, but like, him and Upton Stout are the 2 players who I really want to see in game action. You know, with Michael Williams, you used a first-round pick on him, whether it's preseason game number 2 or 3, he needs to play. And I want to see how Robert Saleh utilizes him. Defensive tackle, defensive end. How does he set the edge? How does that power, length, and physicality translate to the NFL level? The Niners have him listed as a starter opposite of Nick Bosa with that first-string defensive line. Is he going to be able to be impactful as a rookie? With Upton Stout, I think that he, like Michael Williams, should be a starter for this team at slot nickel corner. Does his 4.4 speed translate? Does the sticky coverage carry over to the game? Did the ball skills carry over to actual game action? So Michael Williams, Upton Stout, those are the players who I want to see, because I saw a little bit from CJ West. I saw a little bit from Alfred Collins. Marquis Siegel was really impressive at that safety position. Now I want to see Michael Williams and Upton Stout and see what they can do.
First day I walked on the field at rookie mini camp, I saw Upton Stout for the first time, and I was just like, I don't get it. What are you kidding me? That's just, no, that guy's, he's small for a small NFL player. And you're telling me this is going to be a defensive solution? I just don't see it. First day in pads, I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so funny when you allow a guy to put on brass knuckles, it changes the way you look at him as a fighter. And that guy in pads is so much different than what you see just cutting a physical figure. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I thought he was getting the veteran treatment when he was scratched from the.
Me too.
Like, oh, he's getting the Bosa. He's that much on the team. Wow. Yeah. But no, I guess he tweaked a little something, and that's why he wasn't out there.
Let me add Ricky Pearsall to that too, Damon.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to see Ricky Pearsall, who everybody's saying, man, he's having a training camp like Ayuk did in 2022 and 2023 when he was the best offensive player on the field. He's been winning one-on-one. He's been really good in team drills. He has that connection going with Brock Purdy. He needs to have a big year this year and stay healthy for this Niners offense to reach its peak. Is all of the talk about Ricky Pearsall real? Is he going to justify the Niners using a first-round pick on him, or is he going to continue to get hurt, and is he not all that good? That's another player who I really want to see in the preseason too.
Yeah. By the way, Texas Niner comes in here and says, Damon, curious about history. Isn't the history of the 49ers having a losing preseason record and then have a winning record in the regular season? I don't know about all the histories, but I can tell you this assuredly. In one of the worst coached seasons I've ever seen from the San Francisco 49ers, Mike Singletary went undefeated in the preseason. So, you know, that's what to make of it. The answer is no one really knows. A lot of opinions count. That's why I seek opinions that I care about, and those opinions belong to Chase Sr. And Chase, Thank you for joining me today. This was great, man. I really appreciate having you on. Any tips for an up-and-coming, young, growing YouTube channel that you can pass along to old uncle trying to figure it the fuck out over here?
Man, it was good to join you and good to chop it up with you. The only time that I've really talked Niners with you is when you, me, and Larry kind of did a triple trifecta stream and collaboration. So it was fun. Yeah, I think consistency is always important when you're trying to grow a YouTube channel. Like my pillars as a broadcaster, and anytime I'm in like front of a camera on a microphone, I want all of the content to be informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking, and I want the audience to be involved. And so that's really what I take seriously. Obviously, different generations of broadcasters, you and I, but like I grew up idolizing the likes of Colin Cowherd, Dan Patrick, Scott Van Pelt, Rich Eisen, because they always have done and do those things for me, where when I watch them, I'm like, they make a really good point and they get my brain going in a way where I didn't necessarily think about that, but now I am. And so I try to do that as a host. I think, titles and thumbnails are very interesting, but if you produce quality content and the fans feel involved and they're engaged, I think that they're going to continue to come back, especially if you're consistent with it. So
it's great advice, brother. I'm going to take it. I'm going to apply it. And I tell you what, I thank you again for joining me. Really, really appreciate it, man. Keep up your great work. And let's do it again sometime. You, me, and Kruger all need to get in the same room. Let's do this sometime.
Hey, if we were all in the same room together, like in person, I know that we could like smoke some cigars and have some great drinks. Maybe that'll just lead to great content. We could do that at some point.
We could absolutely do that. Now, so you got to come up to San Francisco, or you're in Texas, right?
I'm in Texas. Yeah.
Are you, by the way, are you in Austin? Can you rip open your shirt and already show me that you're wearing an Arch Manning jersey? I know that the Longhorns are #1 in the AP for the first time ever. I'm guessing the parade is already going around the campus 3-4 times.
Yeah, so I'm in Dallas. I'm from Philly, but I've lived in Illinois. I've lived in California.
Right. I know you're not like, I don't hear a twang. You're not wearing.
Yeah, I had to get rid of I used to have a Philly twang. But I had to get rid of that when I was like on television prior to this job, because I would say water instead of water.
Oh, water.
Our O's and A's are kind of like extended a little bit. So I've gotten rid of that accent. But yeah, I'm in Dallas.
You're going to wash your truck?
Exactly. Yeah. Go down to the crick, not the creek. Very weird lingo and accents up in the Northeast. But yeah, I'm in Dallas now. The Texas hype is real. I mean, statewide, it is a very Texas Longhorns heavy state, of course. And the Arch Manning hype is for real. So yeah, I'll have to get up to San Francisco and we'll have to share some drinks sometime for sure.
You get up here, we'll do that. We'll do that, brother. Thank you so much, Chase. You have a great one.
You as well. Take it
Chase
easy.
Senior, I'm telling you, you like and subscribe to his YouTube channel. If me telling you to subscribe to his YouTube channel is funny, because he's got like 160,000 already subs over there. He runs 2 great channels for chat sports. He does the 49ers channel and the Eagles channel, and both of them are outstanding. Give that guy a follow and your attention. He's a good guy too. So thank you very much to Chase Senior for coming on by. Thanks so much to Big Brick 84, who's just throwing it in the ganja jar. Oh, I'm sorry. You had a question for Chase. Whoever the Eagles offensive line cuts, should the 49ers pick that guy up? How about this? I'll answer it for Chase. Yeah, probably. Yeah, especially if it's a tackle. Man, the 49ers have painted themselves into a corner where things could get bad quickly with just an injury to Trent Williams or Colton McKivitz. So let's hope that doesn't happen, because if it does to the Niners, again, there is probably no dangling thread from the 49ers sweater that'll make the whole thing unravel faster than Trent Williams only played 10 weeks again. That would be bad. That would be bad. Really bad. Again, if you're walking around having a terrible Monday morning because you're upset on how the 49ers played on Saturday, you need to calm down. If you're also walking around this Monday morning completely, just whistling through the graveyard, happy with how the 49ers played over the weekend, you got to calm down too. There are legitimate concerns coming out of that game. But they're concerns with guys who are on the margin of the roster. The problem is, what happens if those guys move from the margin of the roster into your depth chart in a serious way, then you got a problem. But not a great start for the 49ers in the preseason. Again, here are some things you just never want to do in any football game. Be the least scoring team in your league, conference, or division. The 49ers scored the least amount of points in the NFC of every single team that made a preseason debut, which was all of them over the weekend. Only the Tennessee Titans were held to fewer points than the San Francisco 49ers. They were held to 7, and the 49ers were held to 7, and then tack on that little safety to bring it up to 9. Fewest points in the NFC. Not good. 1 for 13 on third down. I don't care who's out there. That's not good. 4 turnovers. Never good. 30 unanswered points. Never good. There's no scenario where those are, well, because of X, Y, and Z, all of that can happen. No big whoop. Coaches don't think like that. That's a fan trying to justify kind of a shitty night for a football team. And the 49ers did not have a great night. How much will it matter week 1 in Seattle? Here's the good news. Probably not at all. Trent Williams goes down. Spencer Burford is playing. Then holy shit, what you saw in that Denver Bronco preseason game is going to come back to haunt you like a chain-rattling ghost instantly. Cheers. We ready for a little sip of the day? Let's see if we're there yet. Mm-hmm. That was good. That was good. All right, I can take the cans off. Thanks again to Chase for stopping on by. It's so good to see so many of you in here. We got 130 people already in the room. Nice little crowd for a Monday morning show. You can tell football's coming back around the corner. What we don't have, though, are enough likes. If you would go ahead and just tap that thumbs up button, I sure would appreciate it. The goal of this channel over the next handful of weeks and months is to get to 50,000 subscribers by the 49ers bye week. I know an awful lot of you are already subbing. Thank you so much. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell an enemy. I really don't care. Ask them to go ahead and subscribe. Your word of mouth advertising is the best advertising I will ever get. Thank you very much to all of you sports fans out there. Alex saying, glad to see you two doing it up. It was great to have Chase on there. Really was. Red Jet, thank you very much. He's always helping those likes grow. I appreciate that. Brian wants to know, where's Larry? Larry is already down at training camp, I'm sure. I know that the 49ers off days this week are Wednesday and Friday. Larry and I did a wake up after that Broncos game Sunday morning. So if you're looking for me and Larry reacting to that game, that video is already up on my YouTube channel. You can go find it right now. I see a lot of people trying to measure the three, those are 2s against 3s and 3s against 2s. And it doesn't matter who's 2s and look good against 3s and 3s against 2s and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of juggling who's going to be on this team, who's not going to be on this team. But I would say that the depth of Denver is something they're a little less worried about in Broncos territory this morning than the depth of the 49ers is being, just not worried about here in San Francisco. I'm a little bit worried about this team's depth. I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are a little bit worried about this team's depth, to be totally honest with you. That was a great guest. And thanks so much to Chase. Indeed, Jacob. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Red Jet throwing up snaps for a good guest. Thank you. Damon, you're the Trent Williams of YouTube. Keep up the great work. Am I only good for 10 weeks now? No, I'm thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, hold on. We had Red Jet going to her first Valkyries game. Valkyries kicked some ass. They beat LA. The beat LA chant came up at a Valkyrie game. She's on cloud purple. Are the Valkyries about to unleash a mascot? I keep on seeing some picture of a purple egg outside of Chase Center. Is a Valkyries mascot being brought to life inside of that purple egg? I don't know. I really don't care. But whatever makes you happy. I want it to make you happy. We got Damon, look at quoting Taylor Swift. You need to calm down. Is that Taylor? Does she do that? I don't know a lot about Taylor Swift or her music other than she's dating Travis Kelce, to be completely honest with you. Shake It Off. That's the only Taylor Swift song I can actually name. Shake It Off. That's it. That's all I got for you. I see that the Kelce brothers are hyping the silhouette of a woman joining them on their debut of the Kelce Brothers podcast this year. I can tell you that the world's going to be very upset if that silhouette is Mina Kimes and not Taylor Swift, because everyone's looking at this going like, oh my God, Taylor Swift's going to be on their podcast. It's a woman's silhouette. I hope it's Mina Kimes. I really do. I hope it's Nicole Auerbach, and she's coming on with a Big Ten football preview. That's what I hope it is. And everyone shows up for Taylor and doesn't get it. All right. What have we got going on in sports today? If you are I hope someone did my work for me, sports talk show host, boy, Mike Sando did an awful lot of work for you on your show today. Mike Sando has come out with his annual quarterback tiers column in The Athletic. It's always interesting because this isn't just Mike throwing darts against the wall himself. Mike Sando is incredibly well connected as an NFL journalist. And what he does is he basically polls a whole bunch of NFL personnel, front office executives, scouts, coaches, insiders, all that jazz. And he collects his tiers of quarterback lists. He's got 5 guys sitting on tier 1. One of them maybe is a little bit of a surprise to see there. The others are not. It's Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Matthew Stafford. Now, Matthew Stafford is a guy who the scouts of the NFL, the coaches of the NFL have liked more than some fans of the NFL, but it just, again, Stafford might be getting old. Stafford might be a little hurt right now. His arm is still 26 and a half years old. He has still got an absolute rocket, and that keeps him on tier 1, according to all who were asked about it. Tier 2 is where you will find Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is coming in as the 14th best quarterback on this tiers list. You got the first 5 in tier 1, and then tier 2 is Daniels, Herbert, Goff, Stroud, Hurts, Mayfield, Prescott, Love, and Brock Purdy. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, because even though Brock Purdy has proven what he can do to affect a team's overall chances to win a game, Brock will never check all the boxes of, well, if you were sitting down and how about this? Congratulations, you've just purchased your brand new copy of Madden. You are going to create your own quarterback to be the future of your favorite franchise. No one would create a quarterback with some of the physical limitations that left Brock Purdy all the way to the final round of the NFL. I mean, physical specimen is something that a lot of these guys bring to the table more than Brock does. And physical specimen is not the end-all be-all of can this guy play, but the choice between I got a guy who can play and is a physical specimen, or the I got a guy who can play and is less than a physical specimen, no one would choose the less than a physical specimen. So Brock could have already won a Super Bowl. I don't know if he's up there in tier 1. I don't know if he is. I would also say what is a little unfair on this list is having Daniels, Jaden Daniels, the leader, the 6th best quarterback, basically, the first quarterback on tier 2, when we haven't seen the league adjust to him yet. I mean, I'll tell you whether or not Jaden Daniels had the kind of year last year that makes you go, wow, might be special, but you can't answer the real question of is special until he comes back and he does it in year number 2. I'm not saying anyone could just go out there and look good in a first year. That's not true at all. Looking good at any point in time as a quarterback in a football game professionally is a hard thing to do. And he, at moments, looked so spectacular. You're just like, oh, man. Oh, dude, what do we got here? If you are a Washington Commander fan, be as excited as you possibly can be. But the NFL might put some, here's how this league works, religion into Jaden Daniels this year. Let's see how he looks at the end of year 2 before we already assume, oh, yeah, he is among the elite of the elite of the elite of the elite in this league at this position. He might be. He might be. You know, but it's like people forget the lessons that we just learned not even like a year or 2 ago. Remember CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud. Oh, my God. Look at how good he is. Sophomore year hits. Offensive line changes around him a little bit. Moving parts. The league's got a book on him. And it's harder. It's instantly harder. So I don't think it's fair for Jaden Daniels to be the first guy up in tier 2. I don't think it's unfair for Brock Purdy to be the last guy up in tier 2. I don't have a problem with it. And I know that as far as hot takes go, that's the lamest hot take there ever was. Like, all right, look at this controversial list. I really don't have a problem with it. I think it's about right. And here's the thing. The beauty is you got games, you got results, and you can play yourself up or down this list. But I think that when you look at it all, this is about right. It really is. It's about right. Anyway, Sando's a really good guy. Really good at what he does. Good columns. Interesting stuff always from Mike Sando. What the fuck is making this list? Again, it is a poll of a whole bunch of NFL personnel that Mike Sando does. Because if you just go to like fan reaction, you're going to get way too much fandom cooked into that. You want some people who are evaluating things dispassionately. For example, can we talk about Shedeur Sanders just a little bit? Because Shedeur Sanders, who had one of the, catastrophic falls on draft day in the history of drafted sports, was thrown into the action for the Cleveland Browns with an awful lot of people, invested into how his debut looked in the NFL. And he was pretty good. Shedeur Sanders looked pretty good. Now, a lot of people instantly jump to, well, Mel Kiper was right. No. We don't know that yet. We do not know that yet. And we do not know if Shedeur Sanders is good or great at this. All we got was a first impression. We got a positive first impression of this guy. By the way, I'm not rooting for, nor am I rooting against Shedeur Sanders. He is a Cleveland Browns quarterback. When I think of things in football I care about, Cleveland Browns quarterback has got to be at the bottom of my list. I don't really give a shit one way or the other what they do. Let's see if they ever get it right. They kind of never do. I mean, to me, in my lifetime, far and away the best Cleveland Browns quarterback ever is still Bernie Kosar. In my lifetime. And Bernie Kosar has not played quarterback since I was like a little kid. So the Browns are constantly trying to figure it out. They've figured out nothing so far. People who want to declare Browns right, NFL wrong on Shedeur Sanders are a little bit overstating what's really going on here. People who wanted to declare Shedeur Sanders dead on arrival, again, they were overstating things. The beauty of this league is the regular season starts and then the results are spit out to us. Only then. None of this preseason stuff truly matters other than, all right, you're on track. Like, think of preseason as basically an athlete recovering from a major surgery. What you want to hear from the doctor is you're ahead of schedule. You're ahead of schedule, or you're on schedule, or no complications have arisen to take you off of schedule. That's all you're really looking for. Where in your career are you? Are you on schedule to be decent? If you are, you're having a good preseason. And if you don't get hurt, you're having a great preseason. Corporal Tez says, Damon, don't forget Ryan Leaf in his first preseason game, which was against the 49ers. He looked like Dan Marino 2.0, but by week 10, he was confirmed bust. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Exactly. You know, he goes out there, he is playing with a group of twos, but playing a group of 2s and 3s and 4s and guys who, you know, are checking the box of ain't gonna be in this league once it starts for real. Everyone, again, this is hard to explain to football fans. You need to calm down just a little bit. I'm excited. You're excited. Everybody's excited. You need to calm down just a tad. All right. What are we learning? What we're learning is that we're learning things. We're not reaching the conclusion on anything. This is all evidence we're putting into the case. We have yet to reach guilty or innocent on anybody. I mean, JT, again, like Trey Lance had a game like that with us. Kind of. Well, I mean, he certainly had that one nice pass, right? Wasn't that nice pass to Trent Sherfield, who actually scored a touchdown against the 49ers this past weekend? Anyway, one more time, let me tell you what I hope you're going to be doing for lunch today. What I hope you're already have done is sign up for the Ike Love Rewards program. And if you have, he's got a free combo just waiting for you right now in that Love Rewards program. You want to apply this free combo to your order this week? You can do that this week. Ike's got it ready for you. Just go and say, yeah, I'm ordering a sandwich. Why don't you send me some chips and a drink too? And he'll be like, yeah, sure. It's National Sandwich Month. I'm going to do that for you. My man Ike's got something delicious for you. I hope you are in an Ike's location, delivery distance. If you are, Monge, you'll be happy that you did. And again, thanks to the Dubliner West portal, as always, for supporting us here on Damon Bruce Plus. It's great to have them in the mix. Jose's like, is that Sala? No, that's Ike. But these are follically challenged individuals, but they look good. They look good, right? I mean, they look really, really good. There are some guys who the minute they shave their head, they look good with a shaved head. And there's some guys, the minute that they shave their head, they look like Private Pile from Full Metal Jacket. And you're dorking out way too hard. That ain't good. There you go. Crazy Juice. I mean, get your advice from somebody known as Crazy Juice. It's preseason, not the regular season. Once the actual season starts, then start panicking. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Look, we got our very first college football AP poll out as I was talking with Chase for the first time ever. The Texas Longhorns are the preseason number one team in the country. Again, Arch Manning mania is real around the Texas Longhorns. But they're not number one by much, only 2 votes ahead of Penn State. We got Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia rounding out the top 5. The SEC leading all conferences with 10 teams in the preseason top 25, the most ever by a conference, and one more than just a year ago. The SEC also has 4 teams in the top 10 alone for the second straight year. The Big Ten, which has just won the past 2 national championships, has 2 of the top 3 spots in the poll for the 3rd straight year, 6 teams in the top 25. My Indiana Hoosiers are the preseason top 20 team in the country. They're coming in at number 20. And by the way, with Boise State being ranked number 25, all 12 teams from last year's college playoffs are represented in the top 25 preseason AP poll. So if you were in the playoffs last year, congratulations. Your reward for that, at the very least, is being in the top 20 this year. And man, that could only exist in the world of NIL, because if you are good enough to have a team in the college football playoffs, that means you had NFL players caliber on your roster to just get there. And they probably got drafted, seniors, graduated. Either way, they're gone. How do all these teams reload so fast? Well, NIL, transfer portals, and a lot of money to throw around have allowed things to exist that never could have possibly existed before, very much like my Indiana Hoosiers being in a college football playoffs or a preseason top 25. I'm going to tell you right now, there was more of a chance. There was more of a chance that the WNBA would become discussed and successful to the level that it is right now. And the WNBA has beaten a lot of long odds to get where it is right now. But there was more of a chance of all of that happening than Indiana football mattering at all for a millisecond of my life, other than just having an incredible ability to piss me off. So Indiana's already doing the impossible, and they have to do it in this new world that if this new world didn't exist, the possibility to be this good would not. And Curt Cignetti, the coach, is a huge part of that. Anyways, 4 Big 12 teams are ranked. The defending conference champ, Arizona State, coming in Arizona State is Big 12. They're at number 11. The Atlantic Coast Conference has 3 teams in the top 25. Clemson, the highest ranked. Texas is going to try to become the 12th team to ever start number 1 and finish number 1. The AP preseason poll debuted in 1950. This is an old thing now. The last team to go from preseason number 1 to end of season number 1 was Alabama back in 2017. That was peak Saban, Alabama. So we'll see. We will see. Yeah, the 49ers brought back Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, that just shows you that they're shuffling the deck so hard right now. They don't really know what they got in their backfield. I would have almost been happier to hear that. Well, you know what they're doing? They're believing that Christian McCaffrey is going to be just fine, and Isaac Guerendo's shoulder isn't that bad. Maybe this is a sign it might be a little worse than they're saying right now. Again, when it comes to the Niners reporting their own injuries, I really do not believe them. But Jeff Wilson Jr. is in the room. That's probably to take Patrick Taylor Jr.'s spot, because Patrick Taylor Jr. was not good on Sunday. I thought Corey Kiner was. Amir Abdullah fumbled, so maybe he is not long for this world. But I actually thought the 49ers running back depth was one thing I didn't need to be worried about this year. Do I need to be worried about that now? I hope not. I'm ready for a little college football to start again, though. I really am. I'd rather be sitting around on a Saturday or Sunday, or, well, obviously you're not playing college football games on a Sunday, but I'd rather be sitting around watching some college football than Giants baseball lately, because, wow, that offense is watching paint dry. The Giants offense was just dreadful again this weekend. Dreadful. San Francisco jumped 2 of 3 to the Washington Nationals. They were shut out Sunday 8-0, while Justin Verlander was becoming the 10th pitcher in Major League history to amass 3,500 career strikeouts or more. But outside of that, everything else about that baseball game sucked, because the Nats just jumped on. Justin Verlander should be DFA'd. It's just thanks for coming. It didn't work out. Let's not embarrass you anymore this year. Justin Verlander is now, 1-9 in a Giants uniform. He had been unbeaten in his career against the Nationals before yesterday's game. He allowed 3 consecutive hits, though, with 2 outs that led to 4 runs in the second inning. All the hits off of him were straight up laser shows, like all of them coming off the bat, hotter than 103. I mean, you just got nobody's squaring up Justin Verlander like he's a pitching machine right now. He's 1-9 in a Giants uniform. I don't think we need to see any more of that. Like, you're better off bringing up somebody who you might be depending on next year than throwing another inning of Justin Verlander out there. there is this ridiculous illusion that even though the Giants are like 3 games out of the 9th wild card spot, or what, again, it's not like the Giants are a wild card team. They just keep on letting more shitty teams into the wild card. It's I don't even want to watch the Giants in the regular season. If I had to watch the Giants play postseason baseball, like, no thanks. There's no postseason coming out of this. There's just not. Logan Webb against the Padres tonight. I don't want to hear a word about wild card proximity. I don't. I don't care. I don't care. How is Pat Burrell still this team's hitting coach? How is Bob Melvin already extended? Like, you get a whole nother year of Bob Melvin, and you can say, well, man, it's not Bob Melvin. It's not, it's not Pat Burrell. It's just a lineup that can't hit. Well, I don't know if Buster Posey's the right guy to go ahead and turn all this around. I don't know. But it's just too many years in a row for the Giants to be this unimpressive. Okay, so you don't sign the actual, you don't sign the actual, free agents that you want. You got to go about creating hitters into your lineup through trades and all this stuff. All right. Good to see Devers heated up a little bit, but as Devers starts to heat it up a little bit, I can't help but notice that Willy Adames is cooling down, and you can't have 2 hitters hot at the same time in this lineup since, 2014? It's ridiculous. Fuji Simeon would like to know, hey, Damon, how was the $450 clown? Honestly, he was worth every penny, man. It was $450 for an hour to come out and he entertained the kids. There were like 15 kids in my backyard. He did a great job. The kids loved it. He should hire my son, Jack, to be an audience plant in all shows that he goes and does at any birthday party. My kid, Jack, ate up the clown, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Like, they had comedic timing in a rapport together. It was great. So Boswick did a really nice job. Boswick the clown, everybody. Again, we got clowns charging hourly lawyer prices here in San Francisco. If a clown's $450 an hour, what's an actual lawyer going to run me here in San Francisco an hour? Luckily, I'm not involved in that many litigious situations where I got to find out. But the clown was actually worth it. He really was. He did a great job. Great job. Not a big clown guy. Clown did a nice job. How about this for news in a ever-changing media landscape? Did you see that Paramount is going to become the new home to the UFC? They just signed a 7-year agreement with Paramount to distribute the UFC's full slate, 13 marquee numbered events and 30 fight night events on its streaming platform. This is like a $7 billion deal. $7 billion for UFC going to Paramount. No money for Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert, we got to let you go. We're running out of money. But we have $7 billion to have guys roll around in an octagon looking like they're trying to fart on each other's heads. Again, my problem with UFC, and why I'll always like boxing more, is, to me, there's a point in every single UFC fight where it just looks like 2 guys rolling around trying to fart on each other. 2 grapplers looking to get the other to submit. To me, that's just not like very entertaining. I like guys standing up, throwing hands. That's what I like. The Ultimate Fighting Championship. That Dana White created something that just signed a $7 billion deal. Wow. By the way, can we give you a little bundle update before we get to today in history? We're going to give you some bundling news. SportsMediaWatch.com says that after a failure to launch what was going to be known as Venue ESPN and Fox are now making another bid to bundle their networks together as part of a lower-priced streaming option. Disney and Fox. By the way, we were talking about how like a college red zone channel would be really popular, but because of exclusivities that Fox and ESPN and Disney are probably not going to share with each other, I don't know how that could ever happen. Well, maybe this is the window for that to happen. You know, it seems like they're partnering up here a little bit. So, okay. Disney and Fox Corporation have agreed to bundle their new direct-to-subscriber streaming services, ESPN and Fox One, respectively, for a reduced price. It was announced on Monday that the bundle will cost about $40 a month, lower than the combined about $50 a month that they said Venue might have cost. The bundle reconstitutes 2/3 of the abandoned Venue streaming service, which was going to be ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers. So we'd have gotten all the TNT content as well. Okay, I'm going to tell you this weekend, I had so many glitches in my DirecTV. I'm getting rid of DirecTV this week. I'm going to YouTube. I'm officially, I guess I'm not cord cutting. I'm satellite cutting at this point. If I were in charge of the universe and I could take us back to 2 media moments in sports to undo what has been done, here's what I would do. If I had 2 media wishes, number 1, we would just go back to cable. I mean, this is ridiculous. The world is now so segmented and fragmented that I gotta order so many different streaming services. I'm paying much more now than the cable bill that all these streaming services were supposed to cut in half for me. I mean, it's ridiculous. There used to be this place where everything you ever wanted to watch was available in one place for one price, and you didn't have to think about it. Cable. I wish we could just go back to cable. Jeez, this is terrible. I gotta have 19 different apps to watch all the shit I want to watch now. It's ridiculous. This is what I'm talking about. I just watched the Damon Bruce live streams, 49er Red Zone. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If I had 2 media wishes, we would go back to just cable and forget all these streaming services entirely. And I would want my college conferences to go back to the way they were. I would like life breathed back into the Pac-12 as we know it. I don't need Oregon, USC, UCLA, or Washington in the Big Ten. I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I don't need it. You can throw Nebraska and Rutgers out as far as I'm concerned. Get rid of them. Go back to the way it was. You still have NIL and blah, 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 blah. But I just wish we'd go back to the way things were. It was better. And this is what I'm talking about. Streaming has basically become cable all over again. Death destroyer of words. You're right. It's just what's the next thing they're going to invent that'll cost me less than all these bundles? It's not just change that I don't like. I mean, there's a little bit of an element of old man fears change that is absolutely real about me. All right. I mean, I don't like change. Okay. But this isn't me not liking change for change's sake. This is me clearly looking at a situation and saying, all right, you've taken this just a bit too far. Just a bit too far. I mean, it's like it's going to be to the point where you're going to have like movies launched on their own app. Be like, do you want to see this movie? Well, you have to download the app that movie's on, and it's the only movie on that app. Like, why are you going to give your content to anyone else to distribute when you can just distribute it yourself? It's just weird, man. Conference expansion isn't going to end. Crazy Juice, you're right. And I really mean it. If it were up to me, I would have a moratorium on all conference realignment for 20 years. Everyone's got to freeze in place for 20 years. Everybody's got to freeze in place for 20 years. Quit moving around. Quit reforming all these conferences every single time I lean in to check out who's where. It's nuts. Bring back Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. I'll tell you, there's an element of charm to that I would like. I really would. Frickin' bundles. Enough. All right, so as far as I see this week opening up, here's how it kind of looks. We'll be back doing our normal 11 a.m. West Coast show on Tuesday for sure. Wednesday, Krug and I might be joined by Sam Batesh for a little bit of a wake up on a Wednesday because that's a Niner off day ahead of them playing the Raiders on Saturday. I think Friday is another off day as well. So we'll definitely have a wake up for you that day, but we might be double dipping with our good friend Sammy this week. A couple of other irons that I got in the fire because it's going to be a Raiders week. We got to get JT the Brick coming into the show this week for sure to talk about where our eyes will be when it's 49ers and Raiders on Saturday afternoon. And hopefully you will plan on being here for a little preseason watch party. We're going to do it again. We are going to be going live and having a watch party each and every single time the 49ers are playing. We will be live streaming. So hopefully you plan on coming back for that. Hit like and subscribe and hit notify and not miss a thing, my friends, if you don't mind. Let's see. Fuji Simeon saying, thank you very much. Fuji dipping twice today saying, I hate to be that guy, but I can't imagine the number of CTE cases coming from the UFC decades from now. I don't know if CTE, I mean, look, there are boxers who clearly become punch drunk because they stayed in the ring a little bit too long. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I would say that, the repetitive smashing of helmets in a football game has got to be worse for your noggin than just fighting. So I don't know. I can't imagine the number of CTE cases coming from the UFC decades from now. I don't know if it'll be more concerning than, what football dealt with. As a matter of fact, I would almost guarantee it won't be. But I don't know. If there's one thing I do know, I'm not a doctor. Fuji, again, the generosity and the tips going into the ganja jar. Thank you, Fuji. He says, I'm looking forward to seeing the Lee Corso farewell show. As am I. Lee Corso is going to get one more bite at the College Game Day apple. And Lee is just too old to be. Look, Lee was too old to be out there creating a lot of show value for years now. And they basically finally admitted as such. So he's going to come out, do one last mascot selection, and that'll be it. That'll be it for Lee Corso. Man's in his 90s now. So, I mean, that's it. It's about time. But Lee Corso has been a treasure to college football fans for years. And what's wonderful is that he is still around to get all of his flowers while he can still smell them. It is kind of a shame that we wait for somebody to pass on before we wax poetic about what they've meant to us, to the product, to the whatever. Say nice things about people while they can still hear them. It's great. It really is. And look at all the nice things I get to say about you, this wonderful audience. I'm so glad that you're around to hear it. All right. UFC is way safer than boxing. Again, here's the deal, man. Combat sports, collision sports, full contact sports, they're never going to be safe. That's it. I mean, it's just, what are we doing here today? We're going to be punching each other. How do we make that safer? Well, don't punch each other in the first place would be the single best way to make it safer. So I don't need these sports to be safe. Everybody knows what the risks are and assumes them when they start them. Damon, your reading of the Beyonce commercial alone was worth the watch. Well, thank you very much. We did do some Beyonce's inner underpants in a laundromat play-by-play during that Beyonce Levi's commercial. Beyonce looks good. Will Pat McAfee take over mascot head duties? That's a good question, Fuji Simeon. I think they got to kind of retire the bit, right? Unless it's, the homage that goes on in real time. But I would just retire the bit. Absolutely, I would. I don't think you can do it better than Corso. James A says, Damon, are you going to let your boys play tackle football? 100%. If they want to, absolutely. Absolutely. Like if either one of my boys wants to surf, they can go surfing. Do you know how much more danger you're in when you're surfing than you are in playing tackle football? I mean, the vast majority of people that I know who played high school football are fine. Fine. I would only be concerned about, football really taking a tax on my children. If they were so good, they might have had professional careers. And I don't think anyone in this family is going to be in the NFL. But yes, I will not coddle my children. I will not protect my children theoretically. Sports are sports. Whatever they want to play, go play it, kid. Just know you can get hurt out here today. I mean, I remember doing this show years ago on the radio. Do you realize the single most in peril person in terms of catastrophic injury, a percentage of suffering a catastrophic injury, the most individual in peril on a Friday night on a high school football field is the cheerleader on top of the pyramid? There are more catastrophic neck injuries to cheerleaders than there are to football players. And you never hear anyone go on and wax poetic about the dangers of cheerleading because no one's watching that show. But football's dangerous? Oh, yeah, there are more kids who every year die shaking a vending machine than there are on a football field or in football practice. I'm shaking a vending machine trying to get a bag of chips that wouldn't release from its, curly cue, and the vending machine has fallen on me and now I am dead. More children die choking on pencil erasers every year in high school than playing football. Are you going to teach your kids how to use a pencil? They are mathematically more in peril chewing on a pencil eraser than playing football. Again, if we're going to let math get in the way of stupid arguments, this football has got to go, it's too dangerous for kids, is one of the dumbest, stupidest arguments out there. Fuji, again, very generous today, Fuji. Thank you so much. Damon, you need to steer your boys to tech. There'll be future tech support crew for you and free labor for the show. See, this is where Kruger was brilliant, to have his own producer, video editor be born at a time where when he goes to YouTube, his kid's smart enough to do that. But yes, I could definitely use the free labor provided by my children, should the children be able to do that. Damon, IKEA furniture has killed far more than football. Exactly. Everyone feels good about going to IKEA, right? No bracket on that soda machine? You do. You got to bracket that soda machine there, man. Ben Affleck's double chin. Thank you. Damon, remember when you interviewed Don Nelson when he was first hired on KNBR and he was asking if you were calling him an asshole because you asked about his prostate cancer diagnosis? That was great. I do remember that. The very first thing Don Nelson said to me in that interview was, "What, are you calling me an asshole?" We didn't bleep it. Don Nelson was allowed to swear as far as we were concerned. But I do remember that. It's amazing that you remember that. The stuff that people remember from my old radio shows is so much better than my own memory of my own radio shows. Like, I don't remember half the shit I've ever done or said on the radio because I'm just so involved in doing it or saying it. Out my mouth, into the microphone, I didn't remember what I said at all. But thank you. Thank you for remembering. Again, we remember things historically significant. When we get to today in history, not the most robust day in history, but some interesting things have occurred on this day. And let's hop into them right here and right now. Again, eat at Ike's, drink at the Dubliner. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everyone who's offered a super today. I really do appreciate it. And here we go. Today in history, we begin with happy birthdays. Happy birthday, 75th birthday to Steve Wozniak, one of my favorite tech dorks of all time. Formerly of Apple, Steve Wozniak doesn't use his inside connections. He'll get in line to buy his iPhone just like the rest of us. Steve Wozniak called into my radio show when we had a Who's the Most Famous Person Who Can Call In Right Now contest once. He was beaten by Chris Pratt that day. Chris Pratt from, Guardians of the Galaxy and Parks and Recs. He was, I even asked him, do you think you're more popular than Steve Wozniak? He's like, yeah, I do have a #1 movie out right now. I'm in Avengers Endgame. So maybe. But he did admit too, Chris Pratt did, that he was saying he was more popular than Steve Wozniak through an iPhone, which without Steve Wozniak, we probably don't have. But anyways, Big Woz, happy 75th. Every single time she's in a movie, she's a scene stealer. Happy 60th birthday to Viola Davis. She's fantastic. Who would have ever thought the guy asking, do you want to eat another cockroach for $10,000 would become one of the most important media mouthpieces of our times? But happy birthday, 58th birthday to Joe Rogan. From Fear Factor, will you snort this line of ants, to my show will help determine a presidential election. And oh, by the way to bet on the wrong guy. There's some weird things happening in the world right now, but we're not going to get into them because we are a break from the bullshit. Thank you for being here. Happy 57th birthday to Anna Gunn. You probably don't know who Anna Gunn is, but you know who Skyler from Breaking Bad is, and Skyler is Anna Gunn. Happy 57th birthday to Skyler from Breaking Bad. Speaking of Avengers, happy 42nd birthday to Chris Hemsworth. I'd like to think that Jillian and I will love each other and honor our marriage vows and be loyal to each other forever. But I'm pretty sure that Jillian's get out of jail free card is Chris Hemsworth. So screw you, Chris. I hope it's not a great birthday. He's 42. And he's probably doing push-ups somewhere. By the way, today would have been Hulk Hogan's birthday, but we just lost him a couple of weeks ago. But in terms of significant birthdays, it's not a person or a place, but it's a thing that is celebrating a birthday today that I bet you means an awful lot to a lot of you watching in this chat room right now. I want to say happy birthday to the Breakbeat. At a back-to-school party in the Bronx, DJ Kool Herc introduced the technique of having the same song being played on 2 turntables at once and being able to extend the drum section through his DJing, which became known as the breakbeat. Today is considered the birthday of hip hop in an awful lot of circles and modern DJing as we know it. Today, happy birthday to the breakbeat. We found it today. DJ Kool Herc did. It changed things, to say the least. Today in 1929, Babe Ruth became the first member of the 500 home run club. He hit his first, the first man to hit 500 career home runs was Babe Ruth. He did it at League Park in Cleveland, Ohio today in 1929. By the way, today in 1942, do you know the name of the actress Hedy Lamarr? Now, you probably know Hedley Lamarr from Blazing Saddles. Hedley Lamarr. Well, that was a play on the name Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was an actress in 1942, and her and a composer named George Antheil, they decided that what they were doing really didn't matter as much as what they were working on, and they got a patent for what they were working on, which was a frequency hopping communication system, which later became the basis for modern technologies like wireless communication and Wi-Fi. It took an actress from the silent movie era to give us a cell phone, to give us Wi-Fi. This was no Hollywood bimbo. This was a woman who was inventing shit that changed the way the entire world communicates still to this day in 2025. But today in 1942, they patented key pieces of technology which gave us wireless communication. Hedy Lamarr, hot, Chef A. There you go. There you go. Ruth was hitting home runs when parks were 125 feet to center. Dude, what are you talking about? Babe Ruth was hitting home runs when dead center field was like 525 feet. There were some weirdly shaped ballparks back in the day, okay? But come on. No, you want to take anything away from Babe Ruth, say, just keep it like Ice Cube and be like, he might have been good against them white boys, but he never hit a brother like Doc Gooden. You can hold that against Babe Ruth, but Babe Ruth was playing in an era where he would out-homer other franchises all by himself. And those baseballs back in the day were the equivalent of like cotton balls wrapped in leather. They were hardly the loaded-up baseballs that you see right now that are meant to travel to the, to orbit. Like Babe Ruth is up there hitting, tumbleweeds for home runs. Well, stadiums back in the day were freaking huge. Here you go. This is something for you 90s kids. Today in 1991, Nickelodeon aired the very first episodes of Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy. Now, I was never a Rugrats guy, although I have seen parts of it because my sister watched the Rugrats. Never seen an episode of Doug. I think I could identify Doug, but I don't really know what Doug is. I was smoking enough weed to know Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy is like one of those, yeah, it's for kids, but this is definitely not for kids cartoons. One of the first of them. Ren and Stimpy was pretty funny there for a while. By the way, today in 1994, Major League Baseball began a labor strike today, 94, August 11th, and we had a canceled World Series. You know who that sucked for? It sucked for Larry Walker of the Montreal Expos. The Montreal Expos were in first place. They were cooking with fish grease in 94 and had a season taken away from them where they were really, that was like what this is like Pedro Martinez. It was good Expos teams. Last night I was thinking about them. I can't remember anything right now. But again, 1994, the cancellation of the World Series, the strike, it began today. Sadly, we wrap up today in history with something that I was on the air for, and I remember this day, and I remember how it brought the show that I was doing to a screeching halt. I was in studio with Gianna when we were coming out of a commercial break, and we learned that today in 2014, Robin Williams took his own life, silencing one of the most brilliant comedic voices any generation has ever had. Robin Williams left us today in 2014. You know, whenever anyone, and I've had suicide enter the chat in my life a couple of times, and I always think, man, if instead of taking your own life, you had just called me that day, I bet you we would have had a conversation that would have at least gotten you to tomorrow. What a shame that Robin Williams was so tortured on the inside while he was all making us laugh so much on the outside that it wasn't really recognized, and he did what he did. If only Robin Williams would have called any of us that day, I'm sure we would have said, "Oh man, we love you so much, Robin. Don't do that." But that one hurt. That one hurt. R.I.P. Robin Williams. He was one of the greatest of all time. Matt Williams was raking that season, Damon. Anyway, I want to say thanks so much to Chase Sr. for coming on by and joining today's show. It was great catching up with him. Really great catching up with you. We want to thank everyone who was generous enough. My man Ben Affleck's Double Chin, Fuji Simeon, Big Brick, dropping some supers on today's show. Always appreciate it. Thanks to all of you for being here today, and we hope to see you again tomorrow live at 11 West Coast time here on the Plus. In the meantime, I sure appreciate you being here. Get yourself a sandwich from Ike's. Get yourself a beer at the Dubliner West Portal. And make sure you remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.